What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I was working late, and I came home, immediately poured myself a drink, had a long day. Didn't get to watch the Marquez and Bradley fight live, but I did just finish watching it, and it was a good fight. It was pretty much what I expected. There were some things that I expected to see a little bit more of, and I'll kind of elaborate in my post fight. It was a good fight. It was what I expected. You have two intelligent, counterpunching, brainy fighters, and I didn't expect for it to be Brandon Rios versus Mike Alvarado, because that's not the style of fight. But the thing that's annoying is some of you guys are fucking retarded. Like, I never understood why people pay money to concerts and throw bottles at the artist performing, or pay money to go to a boxing venue and then you're booing and like just crazy stuff. Like, I'm not saying you can't boo, but some of the people in the crowd were booing during round 10, which was an exciting round, no matter who you came to see. There was action. They were actually like slugging, and there were some exchanges and stuff. Like, so I just don't understand it. Like, why did you pay for a ticket? Are you a boxing fan? Like, I just don't understand it. Recently, they were booing at Terrence Crawford's performance, and that just shows me that some of you guys don't appreciate actual boxing. You want to see just all out war, and not every fight is gonna fucking be like that. Even in MMA, I've seen tons of MMA fights as well. Obviously, I'm more impartial. I like boxing more, but I've seen MMA. It's entertaining to me too. But not every single fight was a bloodbath. But then I've seen like bloodbath fights. So every fight is different because you have unique pairings and stuff like that. So without getting too far off track about MMA and boxing, it's just, I don't know. Like, this fight was pretty much what I expected. You had two smart fighters who aren't gonna put themselves in the danger zone, or go off on a limb and do some retarded crazy shit. And some of the fans can't appreciate that, and I don't respect that. As a boxing fan, you have to embrace and appreciate the different styles. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been plenty of fights that I've seen, like Richard Abril and Bogaray. That fight was boring to me, but it was boring for different reasons. This was actually interesting to me because both fighters were using the ring. They were using a great counterpunching abilities, etc. So to me, I was on the edge of my seat. I was into it. I wanted to see it. Like I said, I had a little bit of to drink, and I was just vibing, watching the fight, and basically knowing what both fighters have been through in their career, but most importantly in their last fights. You never knew when anything could erupt. Anything could have exploded at any time. Marquez is a strong fighter. He's a great counterpuncher. So there's always that element of danger. Whether he got the knockout or not, there's always that element of danger. And Timothy Bradley, there was spots where he fought like he did in the Ruslan Provatnikov fight, but I'm sure him and Diaz got together and had some kind of conversation. You can't make those same mistakes that you made in the Provatnikov fight with Marquez. Marquez looks like he has better stamina. I mean, anybody that can go the distance with Pacquiao 3 times has stamina, because Pacquiao's going to work and give you a high volume, give you angles, give you something to think about, has punching power. So, Ruslan Provatnikov obviously didn't have the conditioning or whatever. He didn't have the smarts to capitalize off when he had his man hurt in the first 2 rounds. And he hurt Bradley throughout the fight, but he never pulled the trigger and never got him out of there. And then you have other people who are great finishers. Like, when they know their man's hurt, they're going to pull the trigger and finish the job. So, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. My prediction was wrong. I'm okay in saying that it was wrong, because I told you guys this was a 50-50 fight. Anything could happen. It was anyone's ball game. I wasn't. Some people like love to send me inboxes when I'm wrong. When I'm right with my predictions, it's crickets. But it is what it is. I was wrong with this prediction. But if you know and you come to my channel, I'm okay with being wrong, because I never talk outlandishly. Like, I never said, "Oh, Bradley's gonna get his ass killed in the ring, and he's gonna be the next Apollo Creed, and Marquez is gonna Ivan Drago." I must break you. I never said nothing like that. I don't say dumb shit on my channel. So I told you guys it was a 50-50 fight. The reason I had Marquez edging it, or I in my prediction is because he's the stronger puncher. He is more seasoned. Even though Bradley has a hell of a resume, I thought his experience with like the Pacquiao fights and just fighting since 1993 or whenever he turned pro would carry him and he would be able to capitalize. Plus, I didn't know where Bradley's head would be after a crazy fight he just had against Provodnikov, which is my fight of the year so far. That's the fight to beat because it was so competitive. There was that danger and it was totally unexpected. So, the element of surprise, that's my fight to beat for 2013. But again, I never said anything bad about Bradley. I told you guys I like both of these fighters, so I don't really care who wins. But anyway, when I'm wrong, people want to come to my page and gloat. But like I said, I feel no type of way because at the end of the day, I said it was a 50-50 fight, and that's what it was. So either way, I'm happy with the outcome. Don't think it was necessarily even a split decision. I don't agree with the scorecards, and I don't like how Marquez responded to this defeat. This defeat, to me, was very clear and concise. There's nothing to really debate. I mean, he got outboxed, he got outworked through the better portion of this fight. Now, I noticed HBO, they've been doing this, but today, on today's telecast, was pretty fucking horrible. They have the separate agenda, and it feels like, I don't know, they're trying to turn boxing fans into mindless Walking Dead zombies who only can appreciate slugfest. They can only appreciate nonstop Brandon Rios Alvarado Part 1 action. That is not what boxing is about. Do I like that? Yes, hell yeah. But I can also appreciate two technicians being in that same ring and seeing who comes up with the better game plan. That's me. That's my personal taste. But for whatever reason, HBO is like, Gennady Golovkin can pull someone up and weight like Ashita and fight him, or Gabriel Rosado, and they're on his dick about it. And I like Gennady Golovkin. He's a knockout artist. He has a great amateur background. This is not about Gennady. It's about the network. And HBO's all over it. They're like, oh, you see the way he knocked out fucking Gabe Rosado? Gabe Rosado has been knocked out before. Angulo knocked him out in a lower weight division. So for Triple G to knock him out after he just moved up in weight, and I mean, I don't care. So like I said, HBO, I feel like they really tried their damnedest to glorify just pure violence, pure brawling, and that's not what boxing is about. You have to mix it up. Good boxers slip punches. They use lateral movement. They use their strengths and not their weaknesses. And some of the things they were saying there, it's like you want Timothy Bradley to fight a dumb fight just so it's exciting for you. You want him to get rocked and possible brain damage in the next 10 years because he's fighting recklessly a dumb fight with somebody like Marquez, who is a sharpshooter. That's fucking dumb. It doesn't make sense. Like if you have a strength in any sport that requires strategy, then why would you not use it? Peyton Manning, perfect example. Denver Broncos. Is he the most athletic quarterback? No, but I think he excels based on his ability to read defenses, make adjustments on the fly, and he has a hell of an arm. He can get the ball where he needs it to go. So, should we see Peyton Manning on every play that he has the ball trying to scramble? Probably not, because it doesn't really fit his MO. That is not him as a quarterback. That is not his identity. It doesn't make sense. So, Timothy Bradley, he fought and slugged it out with Ruslan Provodnikov and barely scraped by with the win against a guy he was supposed to steamroll and clearly beat. And he barely scraped by with the win and made it the fight of the year. And we're thankful for that. But at the same time, should he go in and fight every fucking fight? No, this man is undefeated. He has a title. Who wants to work this hard just to lose it by being ignorant? So I would really be like, shame on Bradley if he chose to fight the fight that HBO sounded like they wanted him to fight against Marquez. I'd be like, you're dumb. You spent all this year climbing up the ladder, trying to get these pay-per-view paydays. You've been undefeated for this long, getting a belt, and you did all that, got in there against a veteran, a living legend, and then you squandered it by fighting like a fucking idiot. And there was times even Diaz was in the corner and he was like, "Don't, hey, we're winning this. Don't fight a stupid fight. I'm telling you, Tim, don't fight." He was like just enforcing that because he knows Timothy Bradley is a warrior and he wants to impress, and he had that chip on his shoulder and that whole kind of thing. But like I said, Timothy Bradley fought a beautiful fight. He fought the fight he should have fought against a person who has more punching power than him. Like I said, this dude has minimal punching power, especially for that division. It's not like he's a triple G. So for him to go toe to toe and try to slug it out, it just is asinine. It makes no sense whatsoever. You're falling into Marquez's plan. I think Marquez lost this fight in my eyes because Marquez is, we know what type of fight and what type of fighter suits Marquez back better. And that's the type of fighter who's going to bring the fight to him so he can set traps and he can capitalize on their fucking mistakes, i.e. Pacquiao. Plus, Pacquiao seems like he's slowed down a little bit over the years. Plus, he's had 3 fucking fights and then the 4th fight when he knocked him out. He's had that many fights to get it right. So I think he just really has Pacquiao's number in terms of he can always make it a competitive fight unless one of them is like severely injured or gets hurt real bad in the fight or whatever. But he has Pacquiao's number. Their styles mesh well and it makes for exciting fights. But at the end of the day, that's not Bradley's MO. He has nowhere near the punching power of Pacquiao. He's not a southpaw like Pacquiao. So for him to fight like Pacquiao and overextend himself and get knocked out, like who wants to do that? That's stupid. This man just body bagged Pacquiao in his last fight, and HBO is basically saying, "Oh yeah, we need more action. Bradley needs to take risks." Why the fuck do you want to take that risk with when you're in there with a killer, someone who showed time and time again don't count him out? In the Casitas fight, in the Pacquiao fight, who want? Like I said, it makes no sense to go in there with the fucking sharpshooter. These motherfuckers are like Bret the Hitman Hart, both of them. Bret the Hitman Hart, the best there is, the best there ever will be, the best there was. You know what I mean? These guys are sharpshooters. They're technicians. They're technically and fundamentally sound in the sport of boxing. So for them to fight a fight that makes no sense, and for Bradley to gallivant around the ring like he's Lucas Matisse or somebody with murderous punching power against the sharpshooter, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm not really feeling HBO how they kind of conduct their commentary. I really don't agree with it. And like I said, I don't like how Marquez accepted his defeat. Now, I predicted Marquez to win. He's still a living legend. He's a great fighter. But the fact of the matter is, Bradley was too quick for him, and he was too slick, and he outworked him. Bradley looked sharp, especially in the early rounds. Later on in the fight, Marquez made it interesting because Bradley maybe was fatiguing from those hard shots or whatever. But Bradley was slipping punches. He was rolling with the punches so they didn't hit him flush and minimize the steam on each shot. He used the ring. He used all the tools he needed. It's Marquez's opportunity and his job to corner Bradley and make it the fight that suits Marquez. And like I said, I picked Marquez to win. But at the same time, I'm a man. And I can say when I'm wrong and I can say what I seen. I'm not going to lie and boo and say it was a robbery and all that because I picked Marquez because it wasn't a robbery. Bradley boxed a great fight. He had a great game plan. He stuck to it for the most part. There was a couple exchanges that were like, but I honestly thought Marquez would have more oh shit moments than he did, and he didn't. And he wasn't able to corner Bradley and like really commence to get him engaged in that type of fight. But again, it works for guys like Pacquiao, and we know what fighters that Marquez will do better with, and that's aggressive fighters who are going to be reckless. Like a guy like, I'm not saying Victor Ortiz in the sense of his size, because Victor Ortiz might be too big for Marquez, but Victor Ortiz's style, somebody who's aggressive, who's going to come at you, it's not going to be really mindful of defense. That is the type of fight that suits Marquez because he can capitalize, he can sit in the pocket, wait for you to lean forward, bow, and just hit you with a counter, an accurate shot. So Timothy Bradley, he kept a jab. The jab was key. The jab was beautiful. Kept that beautiful jab out there. He used the ring, and he did what he had to do to win. And I honestly feel that. So as far as Marquez crying robbery, I was up on your side up until this point. Like when you was talking about Pacquiao 3, that was a robbery. I thought you should have won that fight. The second fight, I think that was questionable. I'd have to watch it again, but the third fight for sure, I was on board. I was on your side. I was like, that was a robbery. But this, come on, this wasn't a fucking robbery. You just couldn't get off. Like I said, his volume, his work rate, everything was overshadowed by Bradley. Bradley had the higher work rate. He landed the better shots early. And this is a guy with minimal punching power. The guy with devastating punching power should have really been getting off. So fuck all these people and judges and C.J. Rosses and Brian Vera versus Chavez Jr. does, like, fuck all them, man. It's like, what fight are you watching talking about Marquez was up 115 to 113? How? He was dormant for many rounds, barely throwing punches. Same thing with Chavez Jr. And if you want to judge a fight like that, then these matches shouldn't even take place. Who in their right mind thought Brian Vera hit harder than Chavez Jr., who rehydrates to 185 to 200 plus pounds? Nobody. So if that's the case, we know going into the fucking fight that Chavez Jr. hits harder and it's probably going to be a more brutal puncher than Brian Vera, who is smaller than him. Same thing with Timothy Bradley. Timothy Bradley doesn't have a crazy KO ratio. He has a low KO ratio. We know that he doesn't have substantial punching power like a Lucas Matisse or Triple G. He doesn't have that world-renowned like punching power. But he's a beautiful boxer. He does things accurately and sharp. That's what makes him good. So I could have told you before that Marquez hits harder than Bradley. So if you're judging a fight solely based on a low volume and somebody punching harder, then these fights are already predetermined, because I could have told you that Chavez Jr. and Marquez hit harder than their respective opponents before the fight even took place. You got to do more than that. You can't just have a low volume of punches and, oh, hey, I landed one punch to your 30, but my one punch hit you harder. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, Chavez Jr. and Marquez, neither one of them had any knockdowns. And I actually thought there would be more oh shit moments in both of those fights. I thought Chavez Jr. would really have Brian Vera. Now, there's moments where he looked buzzed, but he conducted it really well. Same thing with Bradley. There were moments where Bradley looked like he might have been buzzed or affected by a punch, but he looked nowhere near how he looked in the Pacquiao fight when Pacquiao hurt him, or definitely when Ruslan hurt him. He carried himself very well and stayed composed. And one thing that people who don't really respect boxing and that are probably booing don't pick up on, Bradley is a fighter with no punching power. Let's say it. Like, he doesn't really have much punching power, right? Then he gets clocked with a good shot from a fighter who is accurate, who is a veteran, and has punching power, aka Marquez. And Bradley comes back swinging, like throwing more punches than the one punch the fighter hurt him with. You got to give props to that. Like, this dude is a warrior. I mean, like I said, he gets hurt with one punch and he comes back with 5 punches, knowing he doesn't have the firepower to match a Marquez or to match a Pacquiao. You got to give props to a fighter like that, or a Provatnikov. This man is putting it all on the line. Like I said, he gets hit with something and he instantly gets into that mode where he wants to retaliate and get off his shots and not let Marquez steal the round with that one good shot that everybody's seen. So you got to give props to that, especially being a fighter with minimal punching power. So that's really all I got to say. I don't like how Marquez took this L. I think he definitely deserves a L. There's other fights he can win. Like, if he fights Pacquiao, he could possibly win that fight again. I really have to see how Pacquiao looks, if Pacquiao gets past Brandon Rios and that kind of stuff. But there's fighters he can beat, but the slick fighters are going to always give him problems. If Zab Judah looks good against Paulie Malignaggi and wins at 147, I think that's where the Malignaggi-Judah fight is taking place. If Judah looks good at 147, that's going to be a fighter who's going to give him problems, because Judah is a slick fighter. He's a southpaw, and if his power carries up to 147 and he looks sharp at 147 again, um, that's the type of fighter that's going to give Marquez problems because he's athletically gifted, he's strong, he's a southpaw, he's slick. That slickness is what fucks Marquez up. It's going to fuck his head up. Someone being slick. So don't take my word for it. Whatever. He needs more of a direct, I'm coming at you type of fighter. Someone who's going to fall for traps, someone who can't outthink him, someone who's going to try to outwork them but leave themselves susceptible. That's where Marquez is going to, especially at age 40, thrive. So let me know what you guys think of this video. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.